Hey guys, Brad from RotoHeat back at it with another 2020 player outlook. This time we're talking about currently injured San Francisco wide receiver Deebo Samuel. And remember, if you've been enjoying all the free content from the RotoHeat.com team over here on YouTube, subscribe. You know you want to. If you've been enjoying it, why not enjoy more of it? Hit the like, hit the notification. You'll stay up to date with all of our live streams, all of our videos that we've been dropping, our player outlooks, and anything else we've been putting out.
Everything's on fire. Everything's on fire. Everything's on fire.
Man, it's been rough. You know, Deebo Samuel is one of those guys that is super talented. You know, as a rookie last year, if you were part of our community, Rick and I were banging the drum for Deebo quite hard. There were plenty of other guys in the community that liked him. He's a very talented receiver. He came in and really set things on fire in San Francisco. They needed that really solid, dynamic receiver that Kyle Shanahan can move all over the offense, and Deebo filled that role nicely. He got rushing attempts. He got lots of play all over the field. They moved him around the formation. He wound up finishing as wide receiver 31. Which is obviously somewhere in the right around the wide receiver 3 range. But he had plenty of weeks where he was very startable. And very helpful for your fantasy team. You know, I've seen guys in the community talk about how he really helped catapult them to a contender in 2019. Now, the foot injury is tough. You know, it stinks, but it happened at a point where he could still potentially only miss a small amount of time into the regular season. So that's a really interesting thing to take into account, especially that are redraft owners. It's going to make things interesting for you as you get later in the draft. You know, Deebo obviously is going to slip in redraft formats because that injury will probably have him missing a couple of games into the season. You know, Joe on the team thinks probably about 4 games at most, based on what we've seen from that injury. And the really cool thing, if you want to look at a positive from this injury, is that he should bounce back better than ever. This injury isn't something that tends to zap guys and really hurt them long term. They really tend to be able to bounce back well. And we know Deebo's a hard worker. You know, we saw that coming into the season. We've seen that throughout college. So hopefully this is a, he turns a negative into a positive with this situation. When it comes to, the statistics that support our reasoning, statistically speaking, 74% of the athletes come back at a higher performance level after a Jones fracture. So, we got to trust that process. We got to trust the process. What that says for me, if I'm a redraft owner, though, is I'm not drafting him until the back half of my draft. I normally let kickers and defenses go to the back, the very last 2 rounds. Well, Deebo's probably, one of the 2 rounds before that, 2, 3, 4 rounds before that, depending on team needs, how your roster's made up. So just keep that in mind, all you redraft owners, as you're going through your draft. As you get later, Deebo's one of those guys, if you could stash him, that's a sneaky stash because he'll come back and wind up being a startable receiver that you drafted, after round 10 kind of thing. So when it comes to a dynasty situation, everybody loves Deebo. This does not change his value whatsoever. He's definitely, kind of top 10 rookie pick type value. And probably even more than that, because he's so young and he's such a dynamic receiver, and he really fits well with what San Francisco is doing as a team. I wouldn't be trading him, especially right now. Owners are going to throw you offers and trying to get him for cheap, and I'm not doing that. I'm not going to take him for anything less than probably an early first plus, especially because now we're talking 2021 draft capital. The 2021 class is looking promising. If you follow us over on RotoHeat.com, we got our Devy rankings up, and there's a lot of really talented young players in that 2021 class. But Deebo's proven. We know that what he can do. And college guys, you never know what they're going to do when they get to the pros. Ultimately, so if I'm selling him, which I'm not, I have a few Deebo shares already. I'm not moving those unless they're paying what I wanted pre-injury, which is, top 10 first plus, probably more like top 5 first plus, because he's just that talented and that young and that, relevant and he will be relevant for some time. So if you are a buyer, you're probably still going to have to pay that premium price. And I wouldn't be afraid to. If you're a team that isn't necessarily a contender, but you're getting there and you've got a pick that's probably in the 7 to 10 range, which is potentially a playoff range, but it's somewhere in the 7-10 range, you may still be kind of fringe depending on your league setup. I would be okay trading that pick to get a guy like Deebo if I don't think I'm going to make a run, or if I think I can make a run. Maybe your pick 10, 11, 12, something like that. I would be okay trading that pick if you can get an owner to move off Deebo for kind of just a first. I would do that every day. If you start talking about a first and a young player, then then it really depends on what the player is and things like that. So ultimately, Deebo is a guy that you want long term. He's going to be successful. We don't see this as something that's really hampering his value long term. And even in the short term, it's only going to hurt when it comes to your redraft formats, your best ball, things like that. But still a guy that you want to target during the draft at some point. Let us know in the comments below what you think about Deebo. Go over to Twitter at RotoHeat Fantasy. Let us know what you think about him. RotoHeat.com. Find out our rankings for redraft, for dynasty, for Devi and IDP and all the other different formats that you're looking for. We've got our rankings up from all of our rankers. Don't forget to subscribe. We've got weekly shows that are going to be starting up here. Every night of the week, we're going to be live streaming football content. So stick with us here on RotoHeat.com.
Also, right there, playlist. Hit it. Watch the videos. Do it. You want to. Do it.